Hello. Today I will be talking about the unequal distribution of food security throughout the world and what comprises it. Throughout the whole world, there is a shortage of food security. Even in America alone, there is a huge issue when it comes to everyone receiving enough food in order to survive. Other people believe that economically, there are ways that people can get better food security, and it is up to the individual person to figure that out. Some of the information that I found when doing research on this issue is that there are many factors that affect food security or insecurity. Those include religion, availability of work and education, gender, and location. Religion, a lot of times comes down to places in the Middle East like Iran. These places have very strict religious rules, making it so a lot of times women can't go out and get their own job, leading to them having less food security than men. Availability of work and education also comes down to that side of who is able to get a better education and therefore get better jobs. In a lot of areas, people can't afford to get good educations in order to get a higher paying job. Gender, much like the religious beliefs, comes down to men are oftentimes more likely to get a higher paying job because they're seen as the work life responsible compared to women are looked at the home life. Location is the last one that is looked at when it comes to what affects food security, and that also comes down to which different countries, but even just in the country itself, people that are in bigger cities are able to go to grocery stores more readily than people who are out in the country or are in general closer to those locations. There are many ways to improve food security. So the main one that's looked at in PATHIC, which was wrote in 2022, says that the most obvious way to alleviate most of these problems is by giving workers better benefits all around the world so that they can afford food. This comes down to higher wages by the hour or giving more time off to work with family life back home so that they are able to get better food. So when looking at what food security is, it's oftentimes broken down into 4 parts. In the article by the World Bank, which was wrote in 2024, it says that the 4 parts come down to physical ability of food, economic and physical access to food, food utilization, and stability of the other 3 parts over time. Physical ability of food is the food availability, says that the food availability looks at the supply side of food security and is determined by the level of food production, stock levels, and net trade. Economic and physical access to food. An adequate supply at the national or international level does not guarantee household-level food security. Concerns about insufficient food access have resulted in a greater policy focus in incomes, expenditures, markets, and prices in getting food security. Food utilization. Utilization is commonly understood as the way the body makes the most of various nutrients in the food. This, combined with good biological utilization of food consumed, will determine the nutrient status of individuals. 4th, the stability of all the other 3 parts over time. Even if your food intake is adequate today, you are still considered food insecure if you have inadequate access to food on a periodic basis, risking the determination of your nutrient status. What is food insecurity? Food insecurity is defined by the article from Healthy People 2030, wrote in 2022, that says food insecurity is defined as a household-level economic and social condition of limited or uncertain access to adequate food. So, what is the likelihood of eliminating this issue? When it comes down to it, as stated earlier, there are many factors. Economics-wise, those factors include poverty, climate change, food production, unemployment, and low wages. In order for this problem to be fully eliminated, according to Feeding America, wrote in 2024, these issues would all have to individually be resolved before the larger issue could be resolved as well. So, looking at what food insecurity means, a lot of times there's confusion of food insecurity is the same as hunger. As I stated earlier, food insecurity is defined as a household level economic and social condition of limited or uncertain access to adequate food, where hunger is defined as an uncomfortable or painful physical sensation caused by insufficient consumption of dietary energy. So, food insecurity comes down to not having the right amount of nutrients for, every day, and hunger is what is caused from that. So now I will ask you guys to answer a few of my questions, and then I'll give you a chance to ask me some questions. So my first question, why is it not automatic that everyone gets the same amount of food security?
Income and working and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Religion.
Yep. What better ways are there to build a stronger system directed towards people who do not have good food security?
Better paying jobs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so another thing would be more days off, or adding grocery stores in places where there's not many for people. What is food security? Not based on the definition, but from what information I gave you, what would you guys say food security is?
The availability of food.
Yeah, and so it's the availability of food and getting enough of it. So insecurity is where you're not able to repeatedly get the right amount of food that your body needs. So what is food insecurity?
Lack of,
Yeah. So some other side questions is, could the problem of food insecurity be eliminated throughout the course of time, or will this issue always exist?
I think it could be eliminated because I think it can, with consistency and getting people to understand the right way of doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I kind of already answered this. Are food insecurity and hunger the same thing, or are they different? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, what are your thoughts on this issue? Yeah.
Is there any time frame for when they think some of these issues will be solved by?
So, not set times, mostly because the question of if it could fully be eliminated is still very unanswered, because all of the economic factors that play into food insecurity are huge problems that haven't been answered on their own. Climate change, unemployment, all these things that are constantly increasing and decreasing and causing problems throughout the world. It just makes it a very big unknown, and there's not a set time yet.
Is there something with people's understanding of portioning? So when they do get food, if they have food insecurity, then leads to hunger. So if they eat it all up instead of portioning it out, I want to say rationing, but understanding what appropriate portion is.
So that is also a big thing that researchers have looked into in terms of, getting out there and telling people that are food insecure how to properly go about it. But the larger issue to that is that these people who are food insecure don't necessarily have the resources, because, as I said earlier, food insecurity is not only your economic status, but it's your social. So it's the social side is learning how to go about it, but economic is sometimes these people don't have the option to ration. It's kind of you get food today and then you don't for a couple days. So that's the economic side that comes beyond rationing and what all these people can do. So that plays into the factor of sometimes these people don't have a choice individually, which is the other side of it, is some believe food insecurity comes down to the person, when in reality it's hugely based on economics and the overall dispersal of food. Okay. Do you have any further questions for me? No? Okay. So, in conclusion, Food insecurity will likely always be an issue throughout the world. Since the factors are all things that will never fully go away and no one can predict when these things will end, it's likely going to be something that is a struggle for many people all over the world. Thank you for listening to my public deliberation speech.